Qin Yang wanders through the eerie woods of Julian Peak under the light of full moon. The whole situation feels surreal, like one of those bizarre dreams you wake up from in a cold sweat. Except, this isn't a dream, he's well and truly stuck here. As he walks, he eventually climbs up a tree, finding comfort in the branch as he lets his thoughts run wild. He tries to remember the exact location of the cave from the game. Of course it would slip his mind now when it actually matters. The cave, hidden away somewhere in Julian Peak, was where Qin Shen made his secret deals with the Demon Clan. But it definitely wouldn't be in this lively forest. The whole area feels too crowded, too busy. Qin Shen, that sly snake, always played the role of the humble and honest disciple. But that guy was always lurking in the shadows, cutting deals with the Demon Lord whenever he got the chance. Without those shade opportunities, how could he have possibly climbed the ranks to become the top disciple of Liushi Peak? Honestly, the guy was like a plot cheat code. Qin Yang reflects on his time playing the game and can't help but roll his eyes. The protagonist's plot armor was riddled with bugs. It was like trying to play a game where the hero was invincible for no good reason and every challenge was just an excuse to push the player into buying some overpriced in-game power-ups. What a terrible game. The developers must have been half asleep or completely brain-dead, tricking players into wasting their hard-earned money. But as bad as the game mechanics were, what really got under his skin was Liao Xtin. Yes, the gold digger, though in this case, more of an essence digger. She had one goal, to drain him dry and transfer all his vital energy to Qin Shen, the so-called side plot protagonist. Like he was some kind of battery here to power up this plot twist. Before he can dwell too much on his misfortune, his spirit pet, the demon fox lady with a calm, almost eerie grace, appears in front of him. She informs him of the faint demonic presence nearby. Qin Yang glances at his demon fox companion and asks if she can locate the source of the demonic presence. With a calm confidence, she reassures him, explaining that fox demons are more sensitive to demonic energy and other demon clans. Of course, she's got that smug, I've got this vibe going on. She promises she can find it. Without wasting a moment, Qin Yang instructs her to lead the way. She swiftly transforms into her true form, a sleek demon fox ready to guide him. Qin Yang takes off after her, his movements smooth and fast as he reflects on how far he's come. After finally understanding Senior Sister's lightness technique, I can use branches as stepping stones like it's no big deal. This is ridiculously convenient. You can't help but think how much better it would be if he could master the wandering floating cloud technique. Then I wouldn't need anything to support me, just zip around freely like a cloud. Now that would be something. As they dash through the forest, the demon fox lady turns to Qin Yang and points out the faint demonic presence she senses coming from behind a waterfall up ahead. Qin Yang slows down, narrowing his eyes at the rushing water in front of him. So the cave is hidden behind a waterfall. Of course it is. Classic secret villain lair move, right? Before he can make a move, the demon fox lady stops and urges him to find a hidden spot. She insists on going in first, claiming no one will be able to detect her presence. A fox demon sneaking around sounds like she's in her element. Qin Yang, always the cautious one, tells her to be careful. She smiles softly, her loyalty evident, and replies that she's willing to risk everything for him. The demon fox lady gracefully slips through the waterfall, disappearing into the cave with barely a splash. Qin Yang waits outside, his mind racing. There really is a cave behind the waterfall, but the demonic presence inside feels faint, almost like it's been abandoned for some time. From inside, her voice echoes back, letting him know the cave appears to be empty. Qin Yang, not wanting to let his guard down, tells her to take a closer look, check for anything out of the ordinary: utensils, clothes, maybe even the demon equivalent of a to-do list, he muses. Any small clue could be useful. As she scans the cave, her eyes land on a small, seemingly insignificant black rock. She tilts her head, reflecting. This must be the spot where Qin Shen struck his shady deals with the Demon Clan, but it's clear no one's been here recently. Just as she's about to write it off as a dead end, something catches her eye. Her voice rings out again, more urgent this time. She's found something left behind by the Demon Clan. Kneeling down, she carefully picks up a small wooden box tucked away in a corner as if forgotten. She informs Qin Yang, who's still waiting outside, that she's bringing it out to him. A demon box. Oh, this could be interesting, Qin Yang thinks, feeling a surge of curiosity. Later, back in his room, Qin Yang sits at his desk, staring at the wooden box, his mind working overtime. The demon fox lady stands beside him, quiet but watchful. Qin Yang, holding the wooden box in his hands, turns to the demon fox lady and asks her opinion. Should they open it? What's the worst that could happen? With a sense of curiosity, he gently touches the green emerald embedded on the box's surface with his fingertip. In an instant, the box snaps open and a burst of purple light floods the room. Startled, Qin Yang squints at the glowing contents, his mind racing. What on earth is this thing? Before he can voice his thoughts, the demon fox lady calmly informs him that what he's looking at is the demon lord's treasure, Undying Radiance. Well, that's ominous, he thinks. King Yang narrows his eyes, the name stirring a vague memory. Why does this Undying Radiance sound so familiar? The demon fox lady quickly explains, her voice filled with a mix of awe and nostalgia. When she was younger, the Demon Lord and the Demon King had a sparring match, and during the fight, the Demon Lord used the power of the Undying Radiance to almost entirely block the Demon King's ferocious attack. A power that can fend off the Demon King. Well, that's not your average knick-knack. She admits she didn't expect to stumble across such a treasure in a small, forgotten cave in the Sky Realm. She turns to King Yang with a serious expression and tells him that this is clearly his opportunity. His eyes widen in surprise as he stares at the glowing artifact. So it's a nearly indestructible treasure. Of course, his practical side kicks in, and he quickly adds, but there's got to be some kind of catch. There's always a catch. He wonders aloud how it works, whether it requires some sort of activation or an incantation. The demon fox lady shakes her head, admitting she doesn't know the specifics. She can only identify what the artifact is, not how to use it. King Yang, still puzzled by the demon fox lady's deep knowledge, turns to her and asks how she knows so much. She gives him a slight smile and reminds him that before all this, she was the owner of a shop in the demon market. Of course, King Yang thinks, how could I forget? She's seen countless elixirs, artifacts, and magical trinkets pass through her hands. Plus, her Fox Demon clan wasn't just any ordinary group, they were once a major force among the demons, witnessing many significant events. King Yang nods, realizing just how much history she must carry within her. I believe you, he says confidently. Now that they have this powerful Undying Radiance, it's theirs. And hey, one more treasure in the bag certainly can't hurt. King Yang's practical side always appreciates a good advantage, especially one that glows ominously. He tells her that he'll start researching ancient texts to figure out how to use this mysterious artifact. Hopefully, one of those dusty old books has a clue, because winging it with a demon treasure seems like a risky strategy. But still, something nags at him, and he can't help but ask, why would the Demon Lord leave such an important item here in some forgotten cave? It doesn't add up. Why abandon something so valuable? The demon fox lady, thoughtful as ever, admits she isn't sure. When she was inside the cave, aside from this box, there was also a pile of unidentified ashes. That detail sticks with King Yang, and his mind begins to churn over the possible implications. A random pile of ashes next to a legendary artifact. That's not exactly comforting. The demon fox lady, sensing his unease, adds that she has heard rumors. The Demon Lord had been severely injured by the cultivators in the past, and she wonders if those ashes might be his remains. Could it be that the all-powerful Demon Lord is already dead? King Yang's eyes narrow as he considers the possibility. If that's true, it raises even more questions. Why leave behind the Undying Radiance, a treasure that could have saved him? Was it a trap, or did he simply not have the chance to use it? The mysteries only deepen, and King Yang knows he'll need more than just old books to uncover the truth. King Yang ponders the demon fox lady's suggestion that the Demon Lord might already be dead, but he quickly dismisses the idea. No, the Demon Lord shouldn't be dead yet. There are still plenty of side quests involving him later in the game, he reminds himself. I'd be way too early for that plot twist. The demon fox lady steps closer, her curiosity evident as she asks what he's muttering about. King Yang quickly denies it, waving her off. Not muttering, just thinking out loud, he tells himself. But her question brings him back to more pressing concerns, Qinshen. King Yang knows that this is someone he'll need to keep a close watch on. It's clear that catching Qinshen red-handed in whatever deal he's making with the Demon Lord is the best course of action. Someone who's bound to fall into demonic ways must have an unstable Dao heart, King Yang muses. And with the changes he's already made to the timeline, there's no telling what Qinshen might do next. The butterfly effect in action, he thinks. Just as he's lost in thought, a knock at the window interrupts him. The demon fox lady's reflexes kick in, and she immediately declares that she will hide herself for now. In the blink of an eye, she disappears from view. King Yang opens the window cautiously and finds a bird perched on the sill, a letter clutched in its beak. He takes the letter and reads it, realizing it's an invitation from his senior sister, Ning Yuan. She's asked to meet him at Union Forest on Liashi Peak. Without hesitation, King Yang burns the letter to keep its contents hidden, then sets off toward the forest. The journey to Union Forest is not an easy one. The path is steep, treacherous, and so difficult that only a handful of people ever visit. But despite the challenge, King Yang moves swiftly through the night. The moonlight bathes the forest in an eerie glow as he reaches the lake nestled deep within Union Forest. There, standing calmly by the water's edge, is Ning Yuan, waiting for him just as the letter promised. King Yang, trying to look like a master of the walking on water technique, takes a graceful step across the surface, until he doesn't. One second he's confidently gliding, and the next he's slipping like a rookie, barely catching himself before making a splash. So much for being a pro. Ning Yuan, standing by the water's edge, watches him with those serious yet intoxicating eyes. Without a hint of amusement, she simply comments that now that he's arrived, she will teach him the wandering floating cloud technique. Smooth recovery. Right. Totally meant to do that, King Yang mentally reassures himself, but the reality is much less dignified. Standing before her, he can't help but ask why she's teaching him this second technique so soon. He expected more time before diving into such advanced training. Ning Yuan, calm and composed as ever, explains that she has a mission tomorrow that will take her down the mountain, and it could last at least half a month, possibly even longer. Of course, life as a cultivator is never simple. King Yang, curious, questions whether this half-month mission involves eliminating a demon clan. Ning Yuan's sharp eyes flicker, and she asks why he's so interested in her mission. King Yang, trying to sound casual, explains that with his current level of cultivation, he can only handle common-level missions. By the time he reaches the 5th realm, she will probably have already entered the immortal realm. Nothing like a little self-deprecating humor to lighten the mood, he thinks. But his attempt at being nonchalant seems to have the opposite effect. Ning Yuan's expression falters, and she looks disappointed. Wait, why does it feel like senior sister isn't pleased with my answer? He wonders. It's not like he meant to upset her. Looking at her, King Yang starts to piece things together. Does she want me to accompany her? The idea catches him off guard. Is that what she was hoping for? Getting back to business, Ning Yuan snaps King Yang out of his thoughts with her usual no-nonsense tone. She informs him that, as before, she will demonstrate the technique once, and it's up to him to comprehend it on his own. She doesn't have the time to guide him today, as she still needs to bid farewell to the master. No pressure or anything, King Yang thinks, but he nods like a good student, wearing an expression that says, "Sure, I totally got this." Ning Yuan begins demonstrating the wandering floating cloud technique, her movements fluid and graceful. She explains that this technique doesn't rely on brute physical strength. Instead, it requires a deeper connection to the world around him. He needs to sense the air currents between heaven and earth, finding that perfect balance. It's like playing the zither, she says. You don't just smash the strings, you use skill, finesse. King Yang watches in awe as she merges her body with a natural flow of the air, becoming part of it rather than forcing her way through. She continues, reminding him that their bodies aren't meant to break through the air like a battering ram. Instead, they must blend with it, becoming part of the drift, like clouds floating freely, unrestrained and unattached. Okay, easier said than done. King Yang muses as he tries to imagine himself becoming a floating cloud. As she effortlessly glides through the air, she further elaborates. When his body and mind are truly unified and he loses himself in the rhythm of heaven and earth, the air beneath his feet will feel as solid as the ground. In that moment, he will become as light and untethered as a cloud. Yeah, sure, just need to unlock that floating cloud-like mastery, he thinks with a hint of sarcasm, though he's also deeply impressed. When Ning Yuan finishes her demonstration, she gently touches back down on the ground, standing before him like nothing extraordinary just happened. She simply states, "This is the wandering floating cloud." Ning Yuan turns to King Yang and asks if he has memorized the technique. King Yang, still slightly overwhelmed, responds that he thinks he remembers it all. Yeah, let's hope my brain didn't take a detour somewhere in the middle of that floating cloud metaphor, he thinks. Just then, his demon fox lady appears in her fox form, wagging her tail with a mischievous glint in her eyes. She proudly announces that she, too, has learned the technique. Great, now even the fox is a quick learner, King Yang muses. The demon fox lady, however, seems more interested in something else. She reflects on how Ning Yuan, despite having no obligation to teach King Yang, is still going out of her way to do so. Does this mean she has feelings for him? The fox wonders, but then again, there's no hint of romance in Ning Yuan's eyes. Maybe it's just mutual admiration between geniuses. Geniuses, the fox lady thinks with a soft huff, her thoughts laced with a bit of teasing. Meanwhile, Ning Yuan, ever composed, tells King Yang that her upcoming mission will take her to Spring City. Without waiting for much of a response, she flies off into the night, her figure disappearing into the moonlit sky. As soon as Ning Yuan is out of sight, the demon fox lady materializes in her woman form, standing right in front of King Yang with her hands on her hips. She raises an eyebrow and remarks that Ning Yuan specifically told him her mission location. Isn't it a bit too obvious that she wants you to find her later? She says, her voice carrying a note of playful irritation. King Yang, missing her point entirely, says that's perfect. He's been eager to get going on his second mission anyway. Completely off target, the fox lady thinks her frustration growing. She replies, a bit more irritated now, that this is not what she meant. She's hinting at something a bit more personal. Qin Yang, sensing where she's going with this, calmly responds that he knows exactly what she's implying. But right now, he only holds respect for his senior sister Ning Yuan. After all, he reflects to himself, she's the heroine in this silly NPC's life, not someone he can afford to get attached to. Qin Yang, feeling a surge of confidence, adds that tomorrow he plans to try his luck at the Treasure Pavilion to see if there's a suitable mission for him. He also remarks that senior sister Ning Yuan teaches with no reservations, and he still has a strong desire to learn her swordsmanship. One can never have too many skills, he thinks. But the demon fox lady, ever practical, shakes her head slightly and advises him to focus on mastering the lightness technique Ning Yuan just taught him. Don't be too greedy, she warns. Qin Yang smirks, brushing off her caution. He admits it's not that easy, but proudly comments that he managed to remember the technique after just one go. Before the fox lady can protest, he grabs her and with a swift motion sprints into the air. He begins using the wandering floating cloud technique he just learned, soaring through the air as if it's second nature. The demon fox lady is genuinely surprised. How is it possible that after just one lesson, he's already flying like this? She can't help but wonder aloud, what is he made of? Qin Yang, ever the cheeky one, grins and replies, I'm made of Gemini. The demon fox lady stares blankly, clearly confused. Noticing her expression, Qin Yang clarifies with a laugh, explaining that he meant he's an extraordinary gentleman. Smooth, right? Rolling her eyes, the demon fox lady calls her master shameless, unable to hide her amusement. But Qin Yang laughs it off, declaring that since they're bound together for life, connected in heart and mind, she should get used to his unique charm early. It's part of the package deal, he teases. After a few more playful moments in the air, Qin Yang brings them back down to solid ground and with a grin asks her to give him a score for his performance. The demon fox lady, being mischievous, gives him a score of 99, cheekily saying that if she gave him one more point, he might become too proud. The next day, Qin Yang strolls into the mission hall, ready to see what opportunities await him. As he scans the available tasks, his eyes land on one in Spring City. Well, what do you know? It's the same location Ning Yuan mentioned. He picks up the ticket and frowns a little. It's classified as a mortal-level task. A bit low-level for someone at my stage, he thinks. Curious, he approaches the old man overseeing the missions and asks if there's an Earth-level task available instead. The old man chuckles and tells him that at his current cultivation stage, the Foundation establishment stage, he should be well past Earth-level tasks. Surely, he doesn't want to be the laughingstock of the sect. Qin Yang can't help but think back to his last task, the flower water house case, which was also marked as Earth level. His senior sister had said it was much more difficult than that, yet in the end he only got 2 points for all his trouble. 2 measly points, he grumbles internally. In his mind, Qin Yang begins planning his next move. I need to head to the demon market and find something to conceal my cultivation level. Drawing attention isn't part of his plan, not with all these schemes brewing in the background. Meanwhile, the old man is still talking, telling Qin Yang to keep his voice down before someone overhears their conversation. Qin Yang smirks, realizing the old man probably made a mistake with the task level. Leaning in closer, he lowers his voice and whispers, threatening to let everyone know the steward of the Treasure Pavilion is senile and recklessly misclassifies tasks, potentially endangering the lives of disciples. Not exactly the reputation anyone would want, right? The old man's eyes widen in panic. Without hesitation, he clamps his hand over Qin Yang's mouth and quickly offers a deal. He promises to give Qin Yang an extra point if he just keeps his mouth shut. As Qin Yang and the old man exchange whispers, the onlookers in the mission hall grow increasingly curious. One of them, trying to peer over, comments what else could they be talking about. It's clearly a bit of bargaining going on. Another onlooker nods knowingly, pointing toward Qin Yang. Don't they see who that is? A third person, recognizing him, smirks and says, "Oh, that's the kid from the Shu sect. The one who always embarrasses himself by challenging Lord Yuhua." They chuckle, shaking their heads. No wonder something's off here. Meanwhile, the old man continues trying to persuade Qin Yang. He's getting desperate now, explaining that he's fully aware how troublesome this whole ordeal has been for Qin Yang. But Qin Yang, clearly in control of the situation, responds with a mischievous grin. "Yeah, it's troublesome, but there's always room for negotiation," he says with a chuckle. With that, he tells the old man it's settled, then. The old man lets out a frustrated sigh, muttering under his breath about how unlucky he is. He mentions that Qin Yang doesn't even know who sent that mysterious case over. It just appeared at the mission hall out of nowhere, adding to his headaches. "Why is this my life?" the old man laments. Qin Yang, enjoying the moment, winks at him and cheerfully asks him to put up the task card anyway. The old man, clearly irritated, waves him off. Fine, sure, he mutters, giving in to King Yang's demands. Better to just get it over with. Just as King Yang finishes his negotiation with the old man, his attention is caught by two excited girls nearby. One with brown hair is practically bouncing with energy, telling her friend to hurry up because senior brother Qin Shen is just ahead. Her friend, however, is less enthusiastic and sighs, pointing out that no matter how fast they run, Qin Shen won't notice them. He's always thinking about senior sister Ning Yuan anyway, and the whole sect knows it, she remarks with a bit of frustration. Hearing them talk about Qin Shen, Qin Yang raises an eyebrow. Well, what do we have here? He's been meaning to keep an eye on Qin Shen for the past few days, and this seems like the perfect opportunity. Might as well join in on the fun and see what this side quest protagonist is up to, he decides, casually moving to follow. But just as he's about to tail him, Qin Yang pauses in his tracks, a sudden thought giving him reason to hesitate. Wait a minute. Qin Shen knows that my blood essence is highly beneficial for cultivation. Qin Yang reflects. And if the Demon Lord has told him that too, he realizes that he might have been a target of the Demon Lord's schemes for a long time now without even realizing it. This isn't just about observing Qin Shen anymore, it's personal. As Qin Yang tries to piece together the puzzle, it slowly dawns on him that the Demon Lord doesn't seem to know his true identity. Otherwise, he muses, I would have been exposed as a demon spy in the Sky Realm ages ago. That thought offers some relief, but it also raises new questions. I just missed the Demon Lord in that cave, so where is he hiding now? His mind races through possibilities, but before he can delve deeper, he's snapped out of his thoughts by a group of girls gathered in front of him. The girls, all giddy and excited, are craning their necks, hoping to catch a glimpse of their crush, Qin Shen. One of them whispers loudly that she's heard Qin Shen completed a heaven-level task in just 3 days. Another sighs dramatically, pointing out that now he's always by senior sister Ning Yuan's side, though she sadly declares it an unrequited love. Ah, the drama of young hearts, Qin Yang thinks, raising an eyebrow. At the mention of senior sister Ning, Qin Yang's curiosity peaks. Wait, Ning Yuan is still here. Why hasn't she left yet? He wonders. She was supposed to be gone on her mission already. Something about this feels off. Qin Yang scans the scene and spots Ning Yuan standing beside Qin Shen. She's looking as cold and detached as ever, and yet there's a subtle air of discomfort around her. Despite that, Ning Yuan wears a calm, poised smile, almost as if she's mastered the art of keeping her true emotions buried deep within. I got to hand it to her. Facing Qin Shen with that icy expression and still managing to smile takes some serious control, Qin Yang reflects, impressed. He watches Qin Shen, who stands confidently basking in the attention of his admirers without so much as a hint of awkwardness. Of course, Qin Yang thinks with mild disdain, the future master of the demon clan, playing his role as the Sky Realm's #1 playboy. It's no wonder he's got so many people wrapped around his finger. Just then, the demon fox lady appears beside Qin Yang in her fox form, her tail flicking as she suggests sneaking closer to eavesdrop. Qin Yang raises an eyebrow, asking her how she plans to pull that off with so many cultivators around. She confidently reminds him that with the demon suppression chain he has, it suppresses not only demonic energy but also her aura. Now that she's his spirit pet, unless she purposely reveals herself, only those above the 7th realm can sense her presence. And as far as she knows, she adds, only the sect leaders and heads of the Sky Realm are at that level. Satisfied with her explanation, Qin Yang tells her to stay sharp and to come back immediately if she senses any trouble. With a nod, the demon fox lady sneaks ahead, blending into the crowd with ease. She slinks closer to where Qin Shen and Ning Yuan are standing, carefully listening to their conversation. Qin Shen, with his usual smugness, is telling Ning Yuan that he requires her assistance for an upcoming task. Ning Yuan, as cool and composed as ever, comments on how diligent he is. He just finished a heaven-level task, and now he's taking on another one. She questions if he really needs her help or if he's just overextending himself. Qin Shen chuckles and with that familiar arrogance says he simply wants to break through to the 4th realm, the Golden Core stage, as quickly as possible. That's why he's taken on yet another task. Typical Qin Shen, the demon fox lady thinks, listening in with an unimpressed expression. From her hidden vantage point, the demon fox lady can't help but reflect on how plastic their conversation sounds. Qin Shen is acting all high and mighty, but can't you tell Ning Yuan clearly doesn't want to talk to him? It's almost painfully obvious to her that Ning Yuan is just being polite, keeping up appearances, but inwardly, she likely wants nothing to do with Qin Shen's show of ambition. The fox lady mentally scoffs. He might have charm, but it's wasted on her. Meanwhile, Ning Yuan, with her usual icy demeanor, makes a sharp remark. She hopes senior brother Qin Shen survives this task and doesn't meet an unfortunate end out there. Qin Shen, entirely missing the sarcasm in her words, thanks her for her concern with a confident smile. He adds that with their combined efforts, everything will go smoothly. What a fool, he reflects, thinking that his usually distant junior sister, Ning, actually cares about his well-being. In his mind, he believes that once he wins the championship in the upcoming competition 6 months from now, Ning Yuan will finally see him in a different light. Surely then she'll acknowledge me, he tells himself, convinced of his future success. From her hidden spot, the demon fox lady listens to Qin Shen's deluded thoughts and can't help but mentally roll her eyes. This guy doesn't stand a chance, she muses, feeling more amused than impressed. She knows Ning Yuan's cold response wasn't a show of concern, and the fact that Qin Shen completely misread the situation makes it even more laughable. Realizing she needs to report back, the demon fox lady hurries over to King Yang. She quickly relays the news. Ning Yuan's upcoming task is to team up with Qin Shen. However, she adds with a knowing smile, Miss Ning Yuan doesn't seem to like him very much, and also Qin Shen cannot tell good from bad. He seems quite dim-witted. Given this, King Yang starts to wonder what the NPC version of himself must have done in the game to push Ning Yuan toward Qin Shen. One idiot getting defeated by another idiot. What tragedy. He can't help but feel a bit of second-hand embarrassment for the whole situation. The demon fox lady interrupts his musings, asking when they're setting off for the mission. King Yang replies that they got new teammates this time and they'll meet them at the foot of the mountain later. But before that, he has some shopping to do. Priorities, after all. Later, King Yang arrives at the Sky Realm's small goods market. The place is bustling with activity, and King Yang, with the keen eye of a bargain hunter, wastes no time. He buys up all the discounted items and expired promotions he can find. Each transaction adds a bit of weight to the bulging bag he carries, but the look of satisfaction on his face says it all. So many human things, he thinks, absolutely delighted with his haul of miscellaneous goods. As he walks away, proudly carrying his bag full of so-called human treasure, King Yang can't help but wonder how much of this he can trade for even better stuff at the demon market. This is going to be fun, he muses, thinking of the potential profits from his bargain hunting spree. As King Yang reaches the barrier, he spots a girl with short gray hair standing nearby. He calls out to her, addressing her as fellow disciple. She turns around and spots him strolling toward her, dragging his bag of goods that's stuffed with random items from his shopping spree. Not exactly the grand entrance of a cultivator, he thinks, but it's too late to worry about that now. Once he reaches her, King Yang introduces himself as King Yang from Liushi Peak, explaining that he's at the Foundation establishment stage and has a water spiritual root. The girl looks at him in surprise for a moment before introducing herself as Lei Jinkin. With a knowing smile, she adds that she already knows who he is. To his horror, she pulls out a magazine, her eyes lighting up as she tells him she's read all about him and senior sister Ning Yuan in the Chronicles. Oh no, King Yang can already feel where this is going. She goes on to mention that she's even followed the updates. King Yang groans inwardly. This has to be that blasted reporter Zheng Qingping's doing. Lei Jinkin, clearly amused, steps closer to show him the magazine. She gushes about how vividly written and realistic the stories are, praising how captivating the chronicle is. King Yang's embarrassment grows by the second. Then, with a teasing grin, Lei Jinkin casually shows him a published image and illustration of him with Ning Yuan. Not just any image, but one that's more on the naughty side, as if the chronicler's imagination went into overdrive. King Yang's face turns beet red and he stammers, trying to defend himself. He insists that he and Ning Yuan are just ordinary fellow disciples. But Lei Jinkin only laughs and sighs, brushing off his embarrassment. She tells him that she actually ships them, as if they're characters in one of the stories. Great, now I'm a romance plot, King Yang thinks in defeat. Lei continues to laugh, adding that she's looking forward to the day when the top disciple of the Sky Realm, clearly meaning Qin Shen, is taken down. She really enjoys stirring the pot. King Yang reflects with a hint of irritation, though he can't help but appreciate her straightforwardness. Realizing the conversation has drifted far from its purpose, King Yang clears his throat and tells Lei that they should get going. Enough with the gossip, back to the mission. She chuckles again but agrees, and they start moving forward, leaving behind the awkwardness, or at least attempting to. 2 days later, King Yang and Lei arrive at the doorstep of the Wang family house. The air feels heavy with the weight of tragedy as Lei informs him, her voice solemn, that the family once had 35 members, but only 20 are left alive. It's tragic, she says, explaining that the Soaring Dragon Division has been overwhelmed with more pressing affairs lately and can't handle cases like this, so they passed it down to them for practice. Curious, King Yang asks why the Soaring Dragon Division is suddenly so busy. After all, in my last task, they barely even looked at it before filing it away, he recalls. Lei glances at him and casually drops the bombshell. Word is the Demon Lord is dead, and the demon clan has been thrown into chaos, causing trouble everywhere. King Yang is taken aback. The demon lord, dead. His mind reels as he quickly asks Lai where she heard that. Lai shrugs, admitting that she heard it from fellow disciples. She's not sure where the rumor started, but it's been circulating for a while. For now, it's just talk, she adds. Then she drops another tidbit. Senior sister Ning Yuan and senior brother Qin Shen's task this time is to hunt down the demon clan. Standing at the gate of the Wang family house, Lai advises King Yang that at their current stage, Veen condensation, they should stick to cases like this. The demon clan, she notes, is still far beyond their abilities to handle. King Yang listens, but his mind is elsewhere. The pile of ash the demon fox lady found in the cave, could it really be the demon lord's remains? The thought sends a chill down his spine. If the demon lord is truly gone, then who is Qin Shen trading with now? Where is he getting his opportunities? It's beyond King Yang's understanding, and the questions keep piling up with no clear answers in sight. His thoughts are interrupted when Lai calls out, snapping him back to reality. "What are you dawdling for?" she asks, already heading toward the gate. King Yang quickly follows, and they enter the house together. Inside, the atmosphere feels colder than it should be. The eerie chill clings to the air, unsettling them both. A bald man with a strange, crooked mustache approaches them, his expression wary. He asks them who they're looking for. King Yang steps forward and introduces them, explaining that they're disciples from the Sky Realm here to solve the haunting case. The man's tense face softens with relief as he addresses them as esteemed exorcists and invites them inside. As they are led inside by the old man, Lai suddenly eyes King Yang's bundle with curiosity and asks if it's food. King Yang chuckles and tells her it's just some cheap artifacts he picked up from the small goods market, mentioning that they might come in handy. Lai laughs, calling him meticulous, to which King Yang replies that he's just making sure there's no room for error. You can never be too prepared when dealing with spirits or demons, he thinks. As they walk deeper into the house, they spot the maids and servants all looking pale and drained as though the life had been sucked out of them. The old man politely asks them to rest inside and promises to fetch the master of the house right away. King Yang watches him shuffle off while Lai sits down in a chair, frowning slightly. She comments on the unsettling appearance of the maids and servants they passed, all with darkened foreheads. If this isn't dealt with soon, she says, more people could die. King Yang nods and adds that he had glanced at the data provided by the treasure pavilion on their way here. It mentioned that the master of the house has a wife and 2 children. The wife has been bedridden for half a year, the daughter has barely been seen in the past month, and the young son recently passed away. What kind of demon or ghost has this family provoked? He wonders, a feeling of dread settling over him. Lai, looking thoughtful, pulls out a magical plate with a needle on it, explaining that she's going to check where the demonic aura is strongest in the house. The needle begins to move slowly at first, turning in various directions, but then it suddenly stops, pointing straight at King Yang. Lai squints, eyeing him with suspicion. "King Yang," she says, her tone dripping with doubt. King Yang's face immediately turns pale, and he starts sweating. This can't be possible, he reflects. He is carrying the demon suppression chain. It should be hiding any demonic presence. Trying to act calm, King Yang casually asks Lai if her compass might be broken. In his mind, however, he's panicking, silently crying out to his demon fox lady. "I'm about to freak out here," he mentally wails. The demon fox lady, ever the loyal companion, responds reassuringly. "Don't worry, young master. I'll freak out with you, even if it means dying as your loyal fox." King Yang is not sure whether to feel reassured or more anxious. Meanwhile, Lai, still eyeing her magical plate, gives it a good knock, muttering that it's cheap and probably never worked right. She chuckles apologetically, admitting she bought it at a discount from someone else. Figures, King Yang thinks, trying not to let his relief show. He forces a small laugh, even as the tension lingers in his chest. Just then, the old man reappears behind them, startling King Yang. The man addresses them as exorcists and apologizes for the delay, explaining that he had been feeding his wife her medicine, and she just fell asleep. Lai whispers to King Yang, hinting that maybe the compass had been pointing at the old man instead. King Yang, regaining some composure, whispers back that her compass is clearly junk. Not only does old Master Wang lack any demonic energy, he barely has any life energy left. He thinks the old man is practically hanging on by a thread, nothing more. Mr. Wang, looking weary, sits down and begins to speak, sharing his family's plight. He mentions that he assumes the 2 exorcists are aware of the situation. His Wang family, he says, has always been kind and charitable, so he has no idea what deity they could have offended to bring such a terrible calamity upon them. King Yang nods thoughtfully and with a respectful tone addresses the old man. Since his wife is now resting, he asks if they might be allowed to see his daughter, Miss Wang. The old man lets out a heavy sigh at King Yang's question. Sensing hesitation, King Yang asks if it's inconvenient for them to see Miss Wang. The old man replies that it is indeed quite inconvenient as his daughter's condition has become too shameful to speak of. Lai steps in, her voice calm but persuasive. She reminds the old man that at times like this there is no room for shame. As cultivators, she explains, their only goal is to eliminate demons and uphold the righteous path. They don't care about anything else. Her words seem to reach him, and after a moment of consideration, the old man agrees to let them see his daughter. He leads them through the estate to a courtyard, explaining along the way that Miss Wang has been confined there since she fell ill. The courtyard is filled with peach blossom trees, which immediately strikes King Yang as strange. He leans toward Lai and whispers, "Peach blossoms don't bloom this season. This feels very odd." Lai nods in agreement, her eyes scanning the courtyard. "Indeed, something is amiss," she murmurs, her tone tense. As they move closer to Miss Wang's room, a soft but eerie melody reaches their ears. The haunting sound of Miss Wang singing a song about peach blossoms drifts through the air. The lyrics are unsettling, paired with the sight of her dancing behind the window in a transparent, ethereal gown. Outside her room, her maids stand by, visibly panicked. Their faces are pale and their eyes dart nervously toward the door. Mr. Wang steps forward and asks if Miss Wang is having another episode. One of the maids nods quickly, explaining that Miss Wang has been seeing all day and it's growing more and more frightening. Before she can finish her thought, the old man seems to understand. He tells the maids gently that they should go help in the front yard, offering them a brief reprieve from whatever terror they've been witnessing. The maids thank him and leave. Mr. Wang then turns to King Yang and Li and tells them that his daughter has been like this for a long time and the scene in that room is really hard to describe. Lai says that she is also a woman, so she will go in alone to check on Miss Wang. Miss Wang thanks her for the understanding, saying that is for the best. Lai then tells King Yang to keep an eye on the surroundings as she is going in. King Yang tells her to be careful. Lai cautiously enters the room, her eyes locked on Miss Wang, who continues to sing and dance, seemingly unaware of her surroundings. The haunting melody about peach blossoms fills the air as Miss Wang twirls in her transparent attire, the atmosphere thick with unease. Lai senses something is deeply wrong but can't yet determine whether it's possession or something else. Still, she moves forward, hoping to offer some kind of help. She reaches out, gently placing a hand on Miss Wang's shoulder, trying to pull her back to reality. Her tone is calm, attempting to reassure, reminding Miss Wang that she's been singing for far too long and may need to rest. But when Miss Wang turns to face her, the sight shocks Lai. A pink, demonic energy glows in her eyes, radiating an unnatural, sinister force. Without warning, Li feels her legs buckle beneath her, as though an invisible weight is dragging her down. Her strength evaporates and she collapses to the floor, unable to understand what's happening. Panic rises as she realizes Miss Wang isn't behaving like someone merely possessed. This is something far more dangerous. She tries to remain composed, but the demonic presence suffocates her, leaving her vulnerable and trapped. Miss Wang stands over her, exuding a dark and powerful energy that sends a chill down Li's spine. She can sense the malice in Miss Wang's actions and feels completely at her mercy. As Li struggles to regain her strength, her mind races, desperately trying to figure out how to break free from this terrifying force. The glow in Miss Wang's eyes intensifies and Li is left on the floor, powerless, wondering what dark influence has taken hold of her and what it plans to do next. Li, in a panic, shouts for Miss Wang to stop, desperately trying to appeal to whatever remains of her consciousness. She pleads with her, insisting that she's been possessed by a demon and shouldn't give in to its control. But Miss Wang is beyond reason. With cold, calculating movements, she grabs at Li's top and begins to remove it. Red-faced and furious, Li realizes she's in serious trouble and yells for King Yang to come and help. The situation has spiraled out of control and she feels humiliated, on the verge of losing her dignity to a possessed woman. Outside, King Yang is busy inspecting the odd peach blossom trees. The bright red centers of the flowers stand out to him, too vivid to be natural. He feels an unsettling sense of familiarity, as if this entire scene is playing out like one of the games he used to play, with similar mansions and eerie settings. Why does this feel like a cursed scenario from one of those games? He wonders. Just then, he hears Li's frantic cries for help, followed by his demon fox lady alerting him that Miss Li is in serious danger. Without hesitation, King Yang dashes toward Miss Wang's room, his heart pounding as he kicks open the door. What he sees inside stops him in his tracks. Miss Wang is sitting atop Li, and half of Li's top has already been removed. A sight of this situation startles and embarrasses King Yang to his core. Miss Wang's intense gaze locks onto him, her eyes still swirling with that ominous pink glow, the room filled with an unsettling tension. Without wasting another moment, King Yang calls out for his spirit pet, the demon fox lady. She materializes instantly, assessing the situation with sharp eyes. Raising her hand, she points a finger at Miss Wang, and a sharp purple laser shoots from her fingertip, striking Miss Wang squarely in the forehead. In the blink of an eye, the pink glow fades from Miss Wang's eyes, and she collapses unconscious beside Lei. King Yang rushes over to Lei, his mind racing as he tries to help her up. To his surprise, she feels unusually heavy, almost like dead weight. What's going on? He wonders, struggling to lift her. Meanwhile, Lei is tearfully lamenting her misfortune, feeling utterly humiliated and vulnerable. Of all the things to happen, she cries now she's been seen almost completely exposed. Her life couldn't be more bitter. The demon fox lady, sensing Lei's embarrassment, quickly steps in. With a swift gesture, she points toward a curtain, sending it flying through the air. The fabric wraps itself around Lei, covering her in much-needed modesty. Lei sighs in relief and thanks the demon fox lady, grateful for the quick save. The demon fox lady of the Sharp One explains to King Yang that Lei is under an illusion spell, which is why she feels stiff and heavy, like a drunk person. She playfully scolds King Yang for not realizing it sooner, teasing him about how oblivious he can be. A little more force is all you need, she adds with a smirk. Lei, still trying to recover from the shock, reflects that this demon fox lady must be King Yang's spiritual pet. She can't help but notice that the fox aura far surpasses King Yang's. How in the world did he manage to subdue a spirit with such power? She wonders, feeling a mix of admiration and curiosity. Meanwhile, the demon fox lady mischievously slides closer to King Yang, whispering in his ear. She teases him, pointing out that Lei's clothes were almost completely off, and he got quite an eyeful. King Yang's face turns bright red, and he stammers a response, insisting that he was just in a hurry to help. This is not how she expected today to go, he thinks, thoroughly embarrassed. Wrapped snugly in the red curtain, Lei starts to feel a little better. She realizes that Miss Wang's illusion must have affected her, making her unable to move. Grateful for their help, she thanks both King Yang and the demon fox lady, admitting that she was terrified during the whole ordeal. King Yang reassures her, telling her everything is fine now and offers to help further. With some care, he wraps the curtain around her body more securely, creating a cocoon-like effect. Then, in one smooth motion, he hoists her up onto his shoulder. "I'll take you to the couch first," he declares, "then the demon fox lady can help you get properly dressed." Lei, though feeling a bit awkward, thanks him again, relieved that the situation is finally under control. Later, King Yang heads back to Miss Wang's room, feeling a mix of determination and apprehension. Just as he reaches the door, he bumps into the old man, Mr. Wang, who looks worn and worried. The gravity of the situation hangs in the air, and Mr. Wang laments the misfortune that has befallen his family, as if he's auditioning for a tragic play. He asks King Yang if his fellow disciple is hurt. King Yang assures him that she is fine, though the old man's eyes betray a flicker of doubt, as if he's contemplating whether to break out the popcorn for the next act. Mr. Wang pleads with King Yang not to laugh at their predicament, imploring him to speak a few good words for his daughter and Miss Lei. The desperation in the old man's voice is palpable, and King Yang can't help but feel a bit of sympathy. It's hard not to feel for the guy. He's in a soap opera with all the drama and none of the commercial breaks. He reassures Mr. Wang that they are focused on finding the root cause of the trouble and eliminating the demon. As he thinks about it more, he realizes that Miss Wang's soul might have been captured, and the culprit appears to have something to do with lewdness. Because, of course, that's what every good villain does, target innocent women, right? Mr. Wang insists that his family has always been upright, almost as if trying to convince himself as much as King Yang. Just then, the demon fox lady approaches King Yang, her expression serious. She informs him that she has thoroughly checked the entire mansion, and it's filled with a faint but pervasive evil aura. However, she couldn't pinpoint the exact source of that darkness. King Yang begins to ponder this information, his mind racing through possibilities. Suddenly, an idea strikes him. He turns to the demon fox lady and asks if there are too many mirrors around here. Mirrors, of course. He reflects that he once completed a similar quest in a game, and this map looks strikingly familiar. Vague memories of that part of the story flood back to him. There was a mirror demon wreaking havoc in the region of Spring City, killing innocents left and right. This demon had a particular fondness for peach blossoms, elegant objects, and naturally, women. King Yang recalls that the quest was like a puzzle game. The first step to deal with that pesky mirror demon was to break all the mirrors in the house to force it into a single reflection. He chuckles to himself at the irony. Back then, Ning Yuan was the one who ultimately completed it. What a coincidence, he thinks. Now she is with Qin Shen, and if she reaches this place, he can keep a close eye on Qin Shen's antics. Meanwhile, the demon fox lady replies that she has indeed noticed a plethora of mirrors scattered throughout the mansion. It's like a selfie factory in here. Mr. Wang looks puzzled as he turns to King Yang, asking if the mirrors have anything to do with their current troubles. He adds that his wife has been on a shopping spree for all sorts of mirrors lately. Maybe she thinks the house needs a little more reflection, literally. As the words sink in, King Yang and the demon fox lady exchange knowing glances. Eureka! This could be the clue they need. With a sudden burst of energy, King Yang asks Mr. Wang when his wife started this mirror obsession. Meanwhile, Ning Yuan is engaged in an epic battle against the demon clan, effortlessly sending each opponent straight to the underworld. It's almost like a video game where she's racking up high scores, and she can't help but think that if this were an arcade, she'd be the reigning champion with her name lit up in neon. With a slight grin, she takes down the last demon and approaches Qin Shen, who has been trailing behind, looking rather pleased with himself like a cat that just caught the laser pointer. She informs him that they have completed their task here. Qin Shen can't help but smirk, commenting, just as expected of Lord Yuhua. I barely had to lift a finger, and the fight was over. I should start charging admission for my impressive presence alone. With a playful wink, he suggests they move on to the next location. Ah yes, the classic "I'm so awesome" routine. Ning Yuan rolls her eyes at his bravado, mentally debating if she should keep a scoreboard for his inflated ego. She nods but tells him to go ahead, mentioning that there's another case in Spring City. First, she wants to check on their junior disciples before heading to the next location, because nothing says responsible mentor like making sure your students are trying to turn themselves into pancake-flipping wizards. Qin Shen, ever the eager companion, declares that he'll accompany her, possibly imagining himself as the sidekick in this grand adventure. Ning Yuan feels a flicker of irritation. Please feel free to go ahead, as she thinks, but the clingy Qin Shen insists on following her. Great, just what I need, an overzealous sidekick. It's like inviting a puppy to a cat show, adorable but completely out of place. Meanwhile, back at the Wang family house, King Yang's mind races as he connects the dots. He concludes that this mirror demon must be aware that he and his fellow disciple Lai are there to handle the case. Yet the demon remains brazen, even going so far as to tease Lai. How bold, he thinks, irritation bubbling beneath the surface like a pot of water that's about to boil over. King Yang adds that this demon must have harmed many people and gained a significant amount of power, making it a formidable foe. His spirit pet, the demon fox lady, chimes in, teasingly questioning if the demon isn't afraid they will break all the mirrors, leaving it with nowhere to hide. King Yang chuckles, joining in the laughter at the thought. Some demons really are less cunning than humans, he quips, adding with a smirk that they remind him of his own spirit pet fox. The demon fox lady crosses her arms, irritation flashing in her eyes. I'm going to get angry, she warns playfully, but it's clear she's just enjoying the banter. As the like-hearted moment fades, King Yang turns serious. He reflects on the task at hand, realizing that it isn't something to worry about too much. After all, he completed a similar challenge back in the game, which didn't require much brain power, just enough to avoid stepping on any virtual Legos. He recalls the two phases of that quest. Breaking the mirrors was the first phase, and the second phase, well, that was where things got a bit more intimate. He skips the cutscenes in his memory, but knows that it was Ning Yuan who ultimately ended the demon afterward. After all, no one wants to deal with a demon with unresolved relationship issues. But what role did Madame Wang play in this case, he wonders. And why did she suddenly start buying so many mirrors? Is she planning a self-reflection retreat? It seems they must first meet Madame Wang to unravel this mystery. Just then, Li approaches King Yang, her expression brightening like someone who just found out dessert is on the house. She assures him that she's all right now since the illusion was lifted after Miss Wang fell asleep. She thanks him for his earlier help, and King Yang smiles, telling her there's no need for thanks. After all, they are fellow disciples. However, Lai quickly shifts the conversation, noticing that King Yang is still wielding an ordinary iron sword. That's fine against regular folks, she remarks, but it'll shatter against demons at the Foundation establishment level or higher. King Yang chuckles at her concern, explaining that he simply didn't have enough spirit stones to afford a better sword, so he picked up whatever he could find like he was shopping in the clearance aisle of a magical pawn shop. Lei, determined to help, mentions that although her cultivation level isn't very high, her family, the Legion family, is quite famous for sword forging. If you can trust me, she offers, I can take your iron sword, reforge it, and return it to you later. Think of it as a magical makeover. King Yang raises an eyebrow at the mention of the Legion family. Isn't your surname Lei? He asks, puzzled. Just then, his spirit pet, the demon fox lady, appears with a playful twinkle in her eyes. She excitedly informs him that he has hit the jackpot. Intrigued, King Yang wonders what she means. The demon fox lady reveals that she recognized the name Li Jinken, the renowned Legion family of sword forgers. They can craft divine weapons, even at the Foundation establishment stage. It's as if he stumbled upon a treasure map that leads straight to the holy grail of weaponry. As she hugs King Yang from behind, a playful chide sparkles in her expression. How could he not know such vital information? Clearly, her mischievous side is ready to have some fun at his expense. Instead of answering, King Yang reminds her that despite their master-servant relationship, a bit of decorum wouldn't hurt. After all, it's not every day one gets to interact with a legendary sword-forging family. The demon fox lady, undeterred by his feigned seriousness, playfully squishes his cheeks, treating him like a cute, squishy toy. She hugs him tighter, unable to resist the urge to be close, all the while pretending to ponder what his body is made of. Perhaps she suspects he's part marshmallow, part warrior. She continues, explaining that as his spirit pet, she will always be by his side, no matter what he does, whether he eats, sleeps, or even gets married. What's there to be shy about? The way she muses on this, it's clear she's enjoying this little moment of affection, almost as if she's planning her front row seat for all of life's events. King Yang concedes that she has a point. He should probably get used to her presence sooner rather than later. However, he knows they need to establish some ground rules. After all, there are certain situations that just require a little privacy. He turns to her, attempting to set a serious tone, and mentions that when he's bathing, she absolutely cannot transform into her human form. The mere thought of scrubbing away while she watches is too embarrassing, conjuring images of a comedy show where the lead gets caught in a particularly awkward moment. The demon fox lady pouts playfully, and mischievous glint dances in her eyes. With a cheeky smile, she playfully threatens him, claiming she can't control herself. If he insists on setting rules, she muses, he might as well break their contract and let her loose to wreak havoc. Who knows what mischief she could get into? She adds that it might just end with him being slain by his senior sister Ning, an image that is both terrifying and oddly humorous, like a blooper reel of a heroic tale gone wrong. As she inches closer, she leans in and whispers something that makes King Yang's cheeks flush. The casual mention that many cultivators engage in a bit of hanky-panky with their spirit pets is not exactly what he wants to hear right now. It's like finding out that the sandwich he was looking forward to is actually filled with pickles, unexpected and mildly distressing. Playing along with a mischievous grin, King Yang teasingly suggests that it seems his spirit pet has been eyeing his body for quite some time. The demon fox lady's cheeks turn a bright shade of crimson, her flustered reaction making it clear she wasn't quite prepared for that line of conversation. She stammers, denying the accusation and crossing her arms defiantly, as if to ward off any further teasing. The playful threat that if he keeps this up, she won't play with him anymore adds a layer of comical drama to the moment, like a soap opera unfolding in real time. King Yang chuckles, enjoying the playful banter. The atmosphere is light, almost like a friendly sparring match where both sides are simply having fun. He decides to call it a night, announcing that he's going to sleep. The demon fox lady, still pouting, flits back to her wristband, her usual playful demeanor slightly dimmed, as if someone had turned down the brightness on her favorite show. Later that night, Ning Yuan and Qin Shen arrive at the Wang family house, standing at the gate. Qin Shen takes a moment to assess the surroundings, noting that the demonic aura isn't particularly strong. He reassures Ning Yuan that their fellow disciples should be able to handle the situation. Famous last words, Ning Yuan thinks, rolling her eyes internally. It's almost like he's tempting fate, as if the universe needed another reason to throw a curveball their way. Just then, two other cultivators approach them. A pink-haired girl and a brown-haired boy. The girl spots them from afar, her excitement bubbling over like a soda can that's just been shaken. "Senior brother Qin and senior sister Ning, is that really you?" she exclaims, her energy infectious. As they approach Ning Yuan and Qin Shen, the pink-haired girl, Zhang Ming'er, beams with enthusiasm. Her energy is so infectious that it could probably power a small village. She eagerly asks Ning if she and her companion can accompany them, expressing their desire to learn from the two skilled cultivators. To King Yang, it feels like a field trip, but with more danger and significantly less paperwork. Definitely a plus in his book. Zhang reflects that she heard Ning was in Spring City for a mission, so she hurried to finish her own task and followed her here. The excitement in her voice is palpable, and it almost sounds like a dog barking in excitement at the door. The added thrill of senior brother Qin Shen's presence only amplifies her enthusiasm, making King Yang wonder if she's about to burst into song. Ning Yuan, recognizing the eager expressions on their faces, nods in agreement, her expression one of mild amusement mixed with the responsibility of being a mentor. The moment Ning gives her approval, Zhang and her companion can't contain their excitement, practically bouncing on their feet like kids on a sugar high. They exclaim that their trip has suddenly become worthwhile, their joy radiating like a lighthouse beacon in the night. A little enthusiasm goes a long way, King Yang observes, chuckling to himself. Qin Shen, ever the charmer, smirks as he looks at the two young cultivators. He points out that Sister Ning has many fans and counts himself among them. As if anyone could resist her allure, he thinks with a grin, fully aware that his charm could probably sell ice to a snowman. After a moment's thought, he adds that once the situation in Spring City is resolved, He would like to spar with Sister Ning. Just a casual competition, nothing too serious, right? The glint in his eye suggests he might be underestimating her competitive spirit, a notion that could lead to an interesting showdown. Ning Yuan reaches the gate of the Wang family house, leading the group inside as the others follow closely behind, perhaps wondering if they're walking into a horror movie or a really intense cooking show. She responds to Qin Shen's challenge, noting that the Great Sky Realm Conference is in 5 months. She hopes to receive some guidance from him during that time. After all, practice makes perfect, especially when stakes are high. Ning Yuan knocks at the door and it swings open to reveal the same bald servant from before. His expression is a mix of curiosity and wariness, as if he's seen his fair share of oddities and is ready for anything. He sizes them up, perhaps wondering if they're here to save the day or just to make things more complicated. When he asks who they are and what they want, Ning Yuan steps forward confidently, introducing herself and the others as disciples of the Great Sky Realm. She explains that they heard about the Wang family's troubles while passing through Spring City and have come to offer their help, leaving the bald servant with the impression that they might just be the heroes this story needs, if not the ones it deserves. The bald servant's demeanor shifts and he welcomes them with a nod. He mentions that 2 masters arrived that morning and offers to take them to meet them. Well, this just got more interesting, Qin Yang thinks, knowing that reinforcements are always a good sign. Meanwhile, Qin Yang finds himself in the room of Mr. Wang and Madame Wang. Madame Wang sits on the edge of the bed, her face pale and drawn, looking unwell. Qin Yang feels a pang of sympathy as he apologizes for disturbing her so late, quickly getting to the point. He asks her why she suddenly developed an interest in buying so many mirrors. Madame Wang coughs softly and seems to ponder the question for a moment. She asks if the mirrors are indeed part of the problem. Qin Yang smiles reassuringly, explaining that he simply noticed the unusual number of mirrors in her house and became curious. With a faint smile, Madame Wang reveals that a deity visited her in a dream, advising her that having more mirrors in the house would bring wealth to her husband. Mr. Wang, standing nearby, chimes in, confirming that since they began buying mirrors, they've made quite a bit of money over the past 6 months. However, he adds gravely that many people have died during that time. Qin Yang turns to Madame Wang, his curiosity piqued. He asks her if she visited anywhere special before having that dream. Madame Wang replies that on that day, she went to Yubing Temple in the south of the city to pray for her daughter's marriage, noting that the temple is reputed to be very effective for such prayers. A divine intervention with a side of matchmaking, Qin Yang thinks, making a mental note of the temple's significance. Feeling he has gathered all the information he needs, Qin Yang tells Madame Wang to rest. He assures her that he can return to his room by himself, and that Mr. Wang doesn't need to escort him back. As he leaves their room, he reflects on Yubing Temple and decides he will visit there later to further investigate. Just then, a passing servant approaches him, informing him that his fellow disciples are waiting for him in the front hall. Qin Yang's heart races as he realizes that Ning Yuan and Qin Shen have arrived, just like in the game plot. This is where things start to get interesting, he muses. He makes his way to the front hall, where he finds Ning Yuan standing in front of a large mirror, examining her reflection. He calls her name and she turns, her expression shifting as she recognizes him. She comments that it's him who has taken on this task and asks if he has made any discoveries so far. Qin Yang tells her that he plans to visit Yubing Temple in the south of the city right away. Just as he finishes speaking, Ning Yuan adds that she will go with him. Great a partner in crime, he thinks, feeling a rush of excitement. But then, in an unexpected twist, Qin Shen quickly interjects that he will stay behind. Qin Yang raises an eyebrow, wondering why Qin Shen is suddenly so generous about not sticking to Ning Yuan like glue. Doesn't he usually shadow her every move? It dawns on Qin Yang that Qin Shen probably has some other plan brewing, and he can't help but feel a twinge of skepticism. What's he up to now? Qin Yang quickly instructs his spirit pet, the demon fox lady, to stay behind and keep a close eye on Qin Shen. He emphasizes that she must remain unnoticed and come find him if anything unusual happens. It's always good to have a backup plan, he thinks, feeling a bit more at ease knowing she'll be watching. Meanwhile, Qin Shen observes Qin Yang from a distance, his mind churning with thoughts. Liu Xin has struggled to deal with that guy for a long time, he reflects, knowing he'll have to take matters into his own hands. Tamag presents a unique opportunity for him, and the fact that Ning Yuan is accompanying Qin Yang plays perfectly into his plans. Distracting her is in my best interest, he considers, a sly smile creeping onto his face. As Qin Yang stares at Qin Shen, trying to read his intentions, he notices that Ning Yuan is already halfway up the stairs. She glances back at him and asks why he's still standing there. A bit impatient, isn't she? Qin Yang thinks. She adds that they should be on their way to Yubing Temple. Feeling a rush of urgency, Qin Yang quickly agrees, affirming that they should go. He follows her as they make their way out of the Wang family house. Once outside, they leap from one building to another, their movements fluid and practiced. Meanwhile, back in the Wang family house, Zhang turns to Qin Shen, a look of curiosity on her face. She asks him about King Yang, wondering if he's the rumored useless disciple who keeps clinging to Sister Ning. The brown-haired boy chimes in, pointing out that since Sister Ning called him by name, there's no mistaking it. Zhang frowns, expressing her frustration that it was supposed to be Sister Ning and brother Qin acting together. But now this leech is ruining the mood. Nothing like a love triangle to spice things up, the brown-haired boy adds, shaking his head. He remarks that King Yang has been in the Sky Realm for so long and is still said to be stuck in the First Realm. With no talent for cultivation and always flirting around, he'll be knocked out sooner or later. Just then, Qin Shen interrupts their conversation, his tone slightly irritated. He reminds them that King Yang is still a fellow disciple and that they should speak with some restraint, especially since they'll likely see each other again in the future. Besides, he adds, if King Yang got this mission, it means he's broken through the First Realm. He raises an eyebrow, questioning if they noticed King Yang's aura just now. Zhang scoffs, unimpressed by King Yang's apparent breakthrough. She declares that even if he has reached the Foundation establishment stage, he's still nothing more than a useless piece of trash. Turning to Qin Shen, she offers a piece of advice he might not appreciate. She points out that women tend to be soft-hearted and mentions that while Sister Ning didn't like King Yang before, the fact that she called his name this time suggests she has warmed up to him. Qin Shen narrows his eyes, irritation flickering across his face. He acknowledges that last time Sister Ning helped junior brother King Yang, which allowed them to grow a bit closer. But he firmly asserts that Ning Yuan is his and that no one can take her from him. That hot spirit jade body is meant to be his, he thinks possessively, his ambition shining through. Zhang grins wickedly, plotting her next move. She says that when King Yang returns, she'll seize the opportunity to challenge him and humiliate him right in front of Sister Ning. Although this is going to be a show, she thinks, envisioning the drama unfolding. Meanwhile, as King Yang leaps from one building to another alongside Ning Yuan, he suddenly sneezes, catching her attention. She stares at him, her expression a mixture of concern and annoyance. She warns him not to catch a cold and hold her back. Because nothing says hero like being sidelined by a sneeze, King Yang thinks slightly embarrassed. And that was it for today. I hope that you liked today's video, and if you did, hit that like button as today's like goal is 1,500 likes. Comment part 4 down below for the next part. Also consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. You can also join the channel to support me financially and watch videos before public release. I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching.